Hello guys, welcome to this video. This is Khushi Tiwari. So in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to make $10,000 per month in 12 months. And now about this $10,000, it's not necessarily that you're gonna reach that in 12 months. It can happen in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Depends on how fast you're going, how serious you are, and how bad do you want it. And also what kind of vehicle that you choose to get in there. Now, of course, for me, it took me actually 3 months to get to this number, to be completely honest, when I started, and that was almost 6 years ago. 6 years ago when I started my journey into starting different businesses, trying and testing out 25,000 things and actually figuring out, okay, this is the one that's gonna work out the best for me. Now in this video, I'm gonna keep it really raw, but I have one request. Make sure that this is one of the last videos that you'll watch in order to make those $10,000 rather than watching those millions of videos that you watch on YouTube in order to reach that number. Because until you can watch thousands of videos, but unless you do not take action, nothing's gonna happen, right? So make sure that after this video, you guys will actually take action. All right, so let's get into it without further ado, that how you gonna reach this $10,000. Now, one thing that we have to remember is that this is our goal. Let's say that you are at 0. This is where you're starting and your road is to go to $10,000. This is like, let's say, the goal that you have given yourself. Now this goal could be 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, whatever that you have made for yourself. Remember one thing, that it's very important to know the destination. Unless you do not know the destination, you don't know which way to go, right? Or you cannot figure out the way to reach that destination because you're unclear about the destination. Now, whatever that is, make it small in the beginning and then go bigger at later point. So let's say we make it to $10,000. Now, in order to get to that destination, you yourself need a really good vehicle, right? Which can take you to 10K. Let's say the vehicle is good enough, right? It has all the it has all the ways that has taken already people who want to get to $10,000, whether in whatever niche that there is, it has already taken them to 10K. So now it's not about the vehicle, but it's about who is driving that vehicle, right? And if you're one of them who rode this vehicle to 10K and they reach this number, then you will reach this number too, and it's inevitable that you would not. All right, now, I'm so sorry for my shitty drawing. Now let's get to the point of what are the major things that actually would make you reach to those goals and how it has helped me. So the number one thing that is very important for you to reach those 10K is to believe that you are going to make $10,000, that you deserve to make those $10,000. Now, number one thing is believe, or to believe, or belief in general, right? Now, what you have to remember, number one thing is that I want to make sure when I started my journey, right, when I was 22, I made sure that in my mind, I would reach this number and nobody's going to stop me. Not where I am, so doesn't matter which place I am, in, doesn't matter which family that I'm born in, doesn't matter how restricted everything is, there's nothing that's gonna stop me to reach those 10 grand. So whatever that your situation is right now, trust me, I had the worst and I changed it, so can you. So how does it start? It starts with believing that you can actually do it, and how you can actually fool your brain into it and to believe that you're gonna do it. This is how it happens with what everyone calls, like, oh my God, manifestation. And I'm not talking about all that voodoo shit, right? What I really wanna say is that there are just simple ways that you have to do, not 25,000 morning routines in order to make yourself believe that you can reach to the goal, right? So I've tested and tried out multiple things, and this is one thing that has worked for me. In order to make my brain believe, what I did is that I took a sheet of paper, okay? Now in this sheet of paper, I wrote down 10 goals. Now it could be, not necessarily that it has to be 10, it could be 9, 8, depending on how many goals that you have. Now, the point is, I made sure that I want to reach these goals within 6 to 8 months, okay? That was very important. And these are short-term goals. You do not want to focus on the long-term ones. You do not want to be like, oh my God, you know what? I want to make 100K a month. Not going to happen. And, or, I want this to happen within 3 months. Or hey, I want to make like a 5-year goal. Don't bother. Number one thing is what your brain gonna remember the most. It's what's present and what you're working for, right? And that's gonna be 6 and 8 months that has worked out the best for you. I mean, of course, there's another way where you can set long-term goals for yourself, but this is what I suggest, number one thing. Now these goals can majorly start with like, hey, I am grateful. So it could be like, I am grateful that I am making $10,000 per month by whatever the vehicle that you chose to make those $10,000. Now it could be something that I did not, it could be something that other people teach that you did, whatever that is in your mind. That's what you have to write. And you have to start with that, like, I'm grateful. And the same way, you're gonna write all those 10 goals. Now these 10 goals could be about the money that you wanna make, that these 10 goals could be about, your health, this could be about your relationship, this could be anything. It does not just have to be money oriented, right? So you can make these 10 goals for yourself. And what you have to do to that sheet of paper is that you have to laminate that sheet of paper, and you have to like just put it on your bedside table. That's it. No journaling for hours. Nothing. Just pick that sheet up, and every single morning when you get up, you just have to read these goals out loud every single morning. Make it a habit. Just like you make it a habit of brushing your teeth every single morning, you have to do the same with this sheet and with the goals. Now why and how does it work? Let me just explain you some basic things. How does it really work? This number one thing is that most of the decisions that you have made until now are subconscious, and this is scientifically proven, right? We think that we are making, all the decisions consciously, but they're already made in our subconscious mind. Now, all those decisions that are made on subconscious mind is what you're actually feeding your brain on a daily basis, right? Now, if you're feeding that sheet of paper to your brain on a daily basis, right, in the morning, that means that your subconscious is gonna direct those decisions on a daily basis, which will lead you to your goal of $10,000, right? So every single day that you're gonna make a certain decision, which will lead you closer to 10K. Now that decision could be stop watching Netflix, that decision could be stop going through Instagram, that decision could be, hey, stop going to parties when it's not necessary. This could be so many decisions that your subconscious would just allow you not to make, right? And I've seen that for myself. All the goals that I've written in that sheet of paper, and I still have that sheet of paper in my bedside table, whatever goals that I've written, almost everything has came true, right? Because I believe, first of all, that I want it and that I deserve it, right? And as soon as you have that, you have like kind of prepped your brain, because number one is mindset. Number one is mindset. As soon as you've prepped your brain, then it's the time to start focusing on the right things, right? So, make sure to believe that you can do it, that you can make those 10 grand a month, and it's not a rocket science, right? If you want to be successful, then make sure that your mind is prepared to be successful, right? That's very important, and most of the people do not really understand it, but this is something really basic, and you'd say, oh my God, because you're talking about the most basic thing. But the most basic thing is what is going to get you to that number. For example, back then, when I was starting my journey, I made sure that I had a routine, and that routine was reading the sheet, getting to do some exercise or yoga, getting my coffee, and starting to work. That was my morning routine, and it never changed. I still do it. Now, of course, there are certain people who have achieved a success, and then they say, oh, you have to do this and you have to do that, and then you have to free your mind. No, you ain't got time for that. If you are at zero, you ain't got time to do all that, routines in the morning. You don't. Of course, you need to keep in check what your checklist is for the day, but you do not need to do the routines. That's what people get confused for, right? So number one is to believe. Now that you are there, you have kind of set goals for yourself, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna 100% make it, and I believe that I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna make sure that I make a habit of looking at this sheet every single morning, reading the goals out loud and believing and visualizing that I have already achieved it. And what you're also going to do is that you're going to have some shitty days when things are not going to work out. But every single morning when you look at that sheet of paper, it's going to just pull you up. Always remember, you are at your comfort zone. And the thing is, in order to get to another, comfort zone and be comfortable, you need to be uncomfortable. And that's going to be your first step. All right. Now, the second step is we have to see what vehicle, right? So it is the vehicle. Now, vehicle means whatever skills that you need to acquire in order to run that vehicle properly, right? So vehicle, you can choose whatever that you want to. What skill you need to have in order to take this car to 10K? You need to know how to drive, right? And how you would drive. What would be the skills? That's what we're gonna figure out. Now, I have tested a lot of businesses myself. Now there are two things where you have to decide for yourself. Either you're gonna make those 10 grand by starting a business, or you wanna make that 10 grand by just learning a skill and then just focusing on that, right? Now, there are different businesses like drop shipping. There is digital drop shipping. There is reselling digital products. There is affiliate marketing. There is, I don't know, Amazon. There is YouTube automation, Amazon FBA, blah, blah, blah. There are thousands of things. And these are like all businesses. There could be like agencies that you want to start, whatever, that you think is your goal in order to get this started. Now for me, what I really understood, and which took me a long time, because I started with drop shipping, right? And I'm just gonna also put down like some screenshots so you can see what I'm talking about and how far I went. So I started with drop shipping. First 3 months I did not make any money, and after 3 months I actually started making money with drop shipping, right? Suddenly my products started to get viral really, and I started getting to the numbers of $11,000 or $12,000 or $13,000 a day, euros a day of sale, right? So I was making money, but there's a huge drawback in these businesses in that all these businesses run, by the companies who has monopolies. So for example, what I know of like drop shipping and where you have to run ads and everything is where, let's say Facebook is a company has a monopoly. If they shut your ad account down, your whole business is gone. And this is the kind of problem that you can face over and over again. And this is what I was facing back then. Maybe the things and the realities has changed, but that was the gist of it, right? And of course, then COVID happened, then I had to stop my dropshipping business in general. And then I tried some digital products, and I tried and tested out a lot of things. And what I came to as a conclusion, now you can try any of this that you want to. And you'd be like, you know what, I just want to be serious. Maybe 100%, there's a possibility that you make 10 grand from these businesses, 100%, right? But in this video, I just also want to touch core points. And core points is, in order to run a business, you need a few skills, right, to master. Because in order to run a business, you need to be good in customer acquisition, that is marketing, sales, management, accounting. You need to take care of the fulfillment. So there are like a lot of things that you need to be good at. And I'm not saying you would not be, but it's going to take time. For me, I started different businesses, and in the end I realized that what is that one thing that I'm running after? The one thing that I'm running after is not that I want to start a business. That's what you have to know. Is that one thing that you're running after is that you have to start a business, or the one thing that you're running after is $10,000 per month? When you clicked on this video, what was the reason that you clicked on this video? Is that you wanted to make $10,000 per month, right? It's not because you wanted to start a business. You just want to know, how do I make those 10 grand, right? Now, in order to do this in the most simplest way that I learned over the period of time was just learning one skill. One skill, and applying that one skill and going all in with that one skill and making those 10 grand a month, right? And what I realized over time is that it does not necessarily that I have to be a business owner in order to make this money. And you do not, and you do not want to be, trust me, you do not want to be. First, make sure that you're learning one skill. Now that skill could be a lot of things. Number one, it could be sales, is what I learned. It could be copywriting. It could be marketing, right? And so forth and so on. And so on and so forth. So again, getting back to the point is that there could be many skills that you can learn in order to make this money. You do not necessarily have to start a business in order to make those 10 grands, right? So within that vehicle, I can choose any skills, right? So for me, for example, you can do your own research in these. For me, and why it just made more sense, for me, it was sales, right? And what I learned as a skill is how to close deals, right? Now, this is one of the most important things, like how to close deals. I mean, eventually, even when you start a business, sales would be one of the most important things as to how you're bringing money into your business, right? So what I did is that I started learning the skills. And exactly what I realized, in order to make those 10 grand, I do not need to start a business. So I stopped all my businesses and I just focused on closing, learning how to close. Now, it could be different things for you, but I want to tell you because this is the easiest way for one to get to $10,000 a month. And I'll explain to you how you're going to do that. Now, when it comes to closing, I'm not talking about insurance sales. I'm not talking about software sales. I'm not talking about those heavy closing where you're like, oh my God, how am I going to communicate? And you do not need to, make your social media. You do not need to do 1,000 different things in order to actually start closing. So when I started it in the beginning, there were two of my friends who got me an opportunity. They had a coaching company here in Dubai, and they asked me, Kushi, do you want to close for us? And for me, that was a complete alien concept. I'm like, closing, I've never heard of that, and I've never done that in my life, right? Because I was just trying some e-commerce businesses and failing and trying and even making money, but not consistent money, right? It's not, your goal is not to make those $10,000 just once. Your goal is to make those $10,000 consistently, is one of the most important things. Now, they said, hey, they're already warm leads. You just have to talk to them and then you have to close them. And this is how it works. Let me just quickly explain you how. Now, let's say you must have seen a lot of coaches, right, online. All these coaches, for example, health, fitness, relationship coaches, mindset coaches, life coaches, sales coaches, money-making coaches in general, right? Finance coaches. All these coaches, they have their products. Now, their products, start from, let's say, $2,000, especially the high ticket ones. $2,000 can go up to 10, 15, 20, 25, even $30,000, right? So what you do as a closer, your job is to get on the call and explain them everything and eventually close them. That's it. And now remember that usually there are people who are applying to these coaches, right? So you're always on the authority when you're closing, so that makes it relatively easier for a close. Now, you as a closer usually get 10% commission. Now, let's say that even after you have a job, right, and you can give 2 hours a day, 2 to 3 hours a day, for example. 2 to 3 hours a day, that means that you can easily take 2 to 3 calls a day. Now, 2 to 3 calls a day means even if, let's say that you are really, really bad at it, right, and you just even close one deal, you can actually make $200 a day, and that's $6,000 a month. And of course, if you're better at it, you can reach to those numbers while you're just doing this as a side hustle without having the headache to start a business, without needing a capital to start a business. And one more thing about business is that it starts with capital. If you do not have enough capital, do not start a business, because you would not be able to sustain it for a longer period of time. There are companies who get big investments, they fail. Why do you think that you can get the chance of starting a business and succeed it right away without acquiring any skills? Now, as I said, so let's say, for example, that if you're giving those 2 to 3 hours a day, and if you're even closing one, that $200, and if you do it consistently, then it becomes $6,000 a month, right? If you're closing something for, let's say, $3,000, which could also be a basic product, that's $300 a day, and that's $9,000 a month. You're almost there. And this is usually, for example, and I'm not trying to sell you this and be like, no, this is what one should start, but this is what I've seen that the people get most success on, because this is something is in your hand, not in coach's hand, not in anybody else's hand. There's no other company who's gonna decide whether you're gonna get it or not. No, it's all in your hand. And if you start taking that 100% responsibility of your life and of your actions, you can reach this number, right? So for me, for example, this was the easiest thing to do. And you would not believe, on my first day itself, I had 5 calls booked. Out of 5 calls, I closed 3 of them. That easy it is how to close, right? But of course, you got to sound genuine. You cannot be those pushy salespeople, become after the people, like buy it, because that's where people stop. And especially given the time and age now, people do not trust you, because there's so many people who've got scammed, online. So you have to just gotta make sure that they trust you and they 100% believe you, and they believe in the product, they believe in the vehicle, whatever that they want to start, right? Whosoever that you're closing in the end. Now, I closed 3 deals, and that day I closed for $17,000. And I made $1,700 as my commission, and that was my first day. Of course, it's not that every single day was the same, it changed, but this was my aha moment, and that's where it changed it for me. So for me, the main thing and the main idea was not that I want to start a business and that's how I would make that kind of money, but it's about just learning that skill, and people just overcomplicate this shit. You do not need to overcomplicate this. And doesn't matter if you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, it doesn't matter for you to reach this goal of $10,000 in closing, right? So just want to let you know that this is something that you do, right? Now let's say you close your first deal, you reach your first 1,000. Now, how that's gonna happen that you're gonna reach those $10,000 consistently? That's very important, right? Now, number one thing is that you have to find yourself a right coach. And I'm just gonna give you a quick example of one of my students so that you understand the best way possible. So for example, I had one of my students, his name is Ujwal, and he joined in 2 months ago, right? So he started as a setter for a company, and he just reached out to quite a few coaches. He just said, hey, this is what I do, and this is what I'm interested in, and just give me a chance. And there's a certain way that you can reach out to, and I'll make a specific video about this too, that how you can really reach out to the people the most right way possible. But let's say that he reached out to people. He made sure that he's actually sending 100, 200, or even 300 messages a day. People get tired after sending 10. In this game, it's all about quantity. The more people that you reach out to, the possibility of that coach replying back to you and be okay, makes sense, let's get on a call, are very low. So how do you make your percentage or your chances higher? Is by just sending more and more messages, right? Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. That's what most of the people do, and that's why so many people give up. Don't be lazy. And remember, in order to learn that skill of closing, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. You need to at least give it 15 to 20 days that you would actually start learning a skill and start closing. And you have to be really consistent these days with the preps, with the role playing. If you're not with a mentor, or you do not have a community, then start role playing with your brothers and sisters or your friends or anybody that's around you. This is what you have to do. You have to get prepped, right? And after that you've got prepped, you have to start reaching out to all of these people. Now he reached out, he made sure that he was sending 200, 300 messages a day, and that's where he landed a job, and that's where he started making $1,500 per month. Right now, I had a call with him a few days ago, and I just got to realize that he started networking and checking in with other people. Now he's doing $6,000 per month. And it happened in the timeline of 2 months. Not 12, but 2 months. So if it can happen for him, for someone who comes from a no sales background at all, it can happen for you, but you've got to start, right? So you reach out to these people, and after you reach out to these people, make sure that you're doing 200, 300, 400 even a day. You're reaching out to these coaches. And even if, let's say, 5 of them reply, out of 5 of them, 2 of them get on a call, and 1 finalizes. Now, in order for someone to finalize you, make sure that you're also good. And that's how you're gonna get good, is by prepping. It's all about prepping. There's nothing additional that is required there, but it is all about prepping. And as soon as you get in, with a coach, the coach will of course start giving you 1 or 2 leads per day, because they're the one who is even putting money on those leads, right? So you have to make sure that you close. And of course, as it is not such a hard close, you would start closing. And the more time that you're gonna give this, the faster that you're gonna reach to $10,000. And as soon as you have, like a coach or a platform, then it's just going way up. Like one other of my students, her name is Judith, and she she got in with a coach where she made in a week just $420, which is, again, it's not less, it's a lot, but she wanted better opportunities. So she reached out to other coach, and now she's closing for a product which is worth $4,800. So just one close is going to get her $480. So it can go that fast. It is all the way up from there, but of course you're going to work for it, right? Now that we have found our vehicle and that we have learned the skills, right? What is the next thing? What is the next thing that's going to get us for sure to $10,000 a month? Okay. Now the last thing that is going to be there is going to be consistency. It's all about that. It's all about compounding things by doing them every day, every single day. Even just making it a habit of reading that sheet every single day is going to make a huge mindset shift for you. This is what you have to know, and this is what you have to remember. So consistency is king. It's always like that. So now you're not going to stop. Let's say on the first day you closed one, on the second day you closed none, on the third day you closed none. You're not going to stop there and be like, oh my God, now I'm not able to figure out anything, and things are not really working out the way that I thought. Maybe on the fourth day you close two. So if you're consistent and you have kept your mindset intact, it would not be so hard to reach $10,000 per month. And again, you have to every single day reach that goal. Every single day you have to sit and do the same thing. And if let's say that you have given yourself a goal and the first month you reach $3,000, you can set the goal for the next month. That could be $6,000. And that's how you reach those goals, and you be consistent until you get to the goal. Nothing can stop you until you reach to that goal. And one thing that most of the people do is try to give themselves excuses as to why they're not successful or why they did not reach a certain goal is because this happened or that happened. One thing that my dad taught me, that was every day will come up with something. Every day is going to bring something to distract you. Because there's a very interesting concept that I want to share with you guys, is that if you do not take a hold of your life, then the random events start to happen. And then they define your life rather than you define your life, right? So for example, let's say life is made out of 10 events, okay? For example. Okay, 10 events, okay. Now, you taking control of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and here you do not have a control of. And then there's this person, and then there's another person who has the same 1 to 10, and he has taken control of just 1, and rest is just happening randomly. Who do you think is going to win in life? The random? Who do you think is going to get lucky? The random person or the person who has actually taken control? Trust me, it's always the person who's actually taken control. And this is something that was like kind of an epiphany for me when I realized this, that work, otherwise someone else is going to do it for you. And that someone else is random events, that someone else is chaos. So would you rather give your life to chaos, or would you have the whole to yourself? And the chances of this person is to get lucky is way higher than this person. So, and this is a concept you really have to sit down and understand, right? So that you realize how scary it is when you do not take in charge of your life. Take in charge of your life. Reaching this number is not going to be so difficult. So, well, I think that this is what I wanted to add in my first video, and I think if you follow it step by step, within 12 months, you're gonna reach this number. I can give you a 100% guarantee. If you follow it step by step, you're gonna reach those $10,000 per month. And I would really, really like if you actually come, not necessarily after 12 months, but even after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 after this video, even one person comes and says, Khushi, I reached those 10 grand, I will feel like I have done something really productive with my time, that I change at least life of one person who reached that number. But if you do not take that responsibility and you keep on searching YouTube for another 1,000 videos and 1,000 other vehicles, 1,000 other things that one can get started, you'll always be confused and you'll not realize when you're 30 or 40, and then life will happen. You would have responsibilities. Currently, especially the people who do not have kids responsibility, this is the best time to start. This is the best time to risk it all rather than when you have responsibilities. So anyways, enough of this. I hope that this video helped you. Let me know in the comments, like, what was the part that you liked the most? And if you have any question, I'd love to answer in the comments, of course. And I'm just looking forward. I'll be making lots and lots of videos from now onwards, making sure to give whatever that I've learned. And this was just a bit of it as to what I think that can really help you guys out a lot. But eventually I would be making a lot of videos which could be regarding different type of vehicles, or how you can get started, or you know, how to be more productive. It's going to be like about different topics. And I'm looking forward how this whole journey will go, and let's get this thing going. Ciao, ciao.